In this video, I want to talk about the criminal justice system, what it is, and how it works. When we talk about the criminal justice system, we're really talking about the process by which adults are handled. Juveniles have their own system, the juvenile justice system, which sometimes goes up to age 21, but for now, let's stick to the grown-ups. So the system that operates in the United States has four main players: victims, police, courts, and corrections. A crime usually kicks off when a victim or a witness reports it. Police respond, and depending on the evidence and circumstances, they may make an arrest, or they may just problem solve or give a warning. If there's an arrest, the case moves into the court system. From there, depending on the sentence, corrections takes over, either institutional corrections like jail and prison, or community corrections like probation and parole. And victims are just not bystanders in the system. They give statements to the police. They are also involved in the legal system by testifying in court. And they also play a role in corrections by providing impact statements at sentencing or parole hearings. Now, if you've ever watched Law & Order SVU, you probably think every case ends in a dramatic trial. But the reality is, only about 6% of felony cases actually go to trial. The other 94, those end in plea bargains. And why? It's because of discretion. Every decision maker, whether it's a police officer, prosecutor, or judge, has to decide what case moves forward, what charges to file, and what deals to cut. Police might not arrest if there's not enough evidence. Victims may not want to press charges, and prosecutors may reduce a charge from battery to disturbing the peace because that's what they can actually prove. It's all about discretionary decision making. And you want to think of the system like a giant funnel. At the top, most crimes never even get reported. Of those that do, many are not going to result in an arrest. And of those that result in arrest, charges often get dropped or are pled down. And by the bottom of the funnel, which only includes a small fraction of the cases, basically a small fraction of the cases actually end in prison time. And to give you another visualization is a wedding cake, but sadly this cake doesn't involve frosting. So if you look at a wedding cake, at the bottom layer is the largest, and this bottom layer constitutes about 90% of the cases that come to the attention of the criminal justice system. And most of these are going to be misdemeanors and infractions like traffic tickets or things like petty theft. Prosecutors often make plea deals here to save resources. For example, you were arrested for riding your bike naked in a Santa hat while shouting about global warming. Cool. Plead guilty to disturbing the peace, pay a fine, and do some community service. That's it. And that's the reality. In fact, layers 1 through 3 make up only about 10% of the cases that come to the attention of the system. Layer 3 is your lower level felonies like car theft or vandalism. Layer 2 is your serious felonies, murder, rape, arson, especially where there's a long criminal history among the person who's being charged. And the top layer, the tiniest layer, is the celebrated cases. These are your serial killers, your active shooters, the big ones that make national headlines. It's the top layer because these cases get the most media attention, but they represent the least common types of cases. Most cases that enter the system, like I said, are going to be misdemeanors. So the criminal justice system isn't a neat, straight path from crime to punishment. It's a messy process full of decisions, negotiations, and discretion. The TV version shows us trials and dramatic verdicts, but the real version is a funnel where most cases get weeded out long before anybody ever hears "all rise."